Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the emergency storage shed for episode, I believe it's 106. So that's one episode every week for over 2 years. We're into our third year now in the continuing saga to empty this shed. And a saga it is, but it's fun. I'm enjoying the journey, and I know a lot of you guys are too. These videos always get pretty good views and lots of comments. And I'm making lots of sales out of here. That was unexpected when I started it, but people are spotting stuff. People are sending me messages and emails, and I'm happy to move stuff on. I value stuff kind of as I see it. Sometimes I need to do a bit of checking, so what I initially say might not always be the price. Sometimes I might put something on eBay, and we'll follow that in my eBay series. So it's just a matter of cleaning out all this stuff, working out what to sell, what I can get for it. I take stuff to the shop. We're looking now at lists of stuff we've sold in previous weeks just to see that stuff actually is moving. We've sold, I forget the figure, but are we up to 14,000? I have no idea. I didn't check. We've sold a lot of money's worth of stuff out of this shed. We're about halfway, and it's all come out of other people's sheds and houses when I've done cleanups over the last 20 years as a second-hand dealer. So there you go. I repeat that each time, or most times, because a lot of you watching this, according to the YouTube analytics, are the first-time viewers of my channel. So if you like what you see, follow along, hit that subscribe button. I could certainly use more subscribers. Join the community and follow this journey. Who knows, I might unbox something that you've been spending your life looking for. Rightio, let's go and get something for this week. We're working on this shelf just behind me in the middle of the room. We're starting to really open it out. One day there might even be an echo in here. Let's see what we can find today. So I found myself sort of tunneling through the middle. We really haven't tackled a lot of stuff on this side shelf. But we have done that one, and this one's now becoming storage for things just to help me get organized. There's a lot of repair jobs here. I just put these videos here yesterday. They will be a repair or a check, and then I'll sell them. There's a large Sony sort of, well, it's kind of a extra large boombox. It does, I think it has some issues, so I put it there because I think it's worth fixing. There's an anniversary clock there I'm going to have a look at. I have a this has got some old woodwork planes in. We're going to eBay. More repair jobs in here, and a few parts and things from deals that I'm sort of sorting into boxes so I can keep myself organized. And down the bottom we have a box of old light globes that I take to the transfer station when they're full, and dead batteries for battery recycling. So this shelf is helping me get organized. I'm not refilling this shed with junk as I go, but the shelving is handy to help me get organized. When we eventually get it cleared out and set up more as a workshop, we'll have proper storage, everything labeled. I do have dreams of being super organized, but I've got to get this stuff out first. So last week we finished the top shelf here. I'd like to get this cabinet out of the shed to create some more floor space. The welder I'm not going to get rid of. In fact, I used it exactly where it is the other day because I couldn't get to my other welder, and it was quite handy. Now that we have a little bit of concrete floor that I can actually use, there's more space in here than my other shed. So that's going to stay for now. I'll probably move it down onto the bottom bench once I clear up some space down there. We have parts drawers. We went through some last week. So those metal parts drawers we'll try and go through this week. Some sort of power tool, I'm guessing. Oh, hang on, there's a label on it, and it's, oh, maybe it's a laser level kit. I'm not sure if I need it or not, and maybe that's not even what's in it. We'll have a look at that. Whatever's in this red tub will get through to the bench. We might not be able to do all this in this episode, but we'll start on that and see how we go. Okay, this tub is pretty heavy, and it looks like there's some stuff from a shed. I'm not sure if it was mine or someone else's, but possibly it's some sorting I've already done. There's lots of containers here with various hardware in them. So it might be fairly quick to get through this box. Don't know what's at the bottom, so that'll be interesting. I'll go and get that other box. And this may have come from a garage sale, or sometimes when I clean out someone's shed, they've had a garage sale and they've tried to get rid of stuff, and whatever they had priced too high or just simply didn't sell ended up back in their shed, and I often get stuff with prices on it. So if this is actually a laser level kit, they were looking for $40 for it. It's a fairly modern one. It's made in China. I don't know if it's any good or not. I'm not even sure that that's what's in it. So I'll have a look at this first and see. And I guess if it is a laser level kit, do I need to keep it? Well, that's what it is. Okay. We have a little spirit level, a tripod. I guess that's your level thing. Might be handy. That's what they all say. Yeah, I'll check it out and see if it works. And if it does, well, it's easier to store in this kit. And who knows, I guess once you've got one of these things, they're invaluable, especially when you're doing some building and setting up things. I think it spreads a laser beam at a certain level right around a room, so you can mark things off. I've seen them used on various YouTube channels and DIY shows. I suspect that I probably will keep that, so we'll check that out and see if it works. And we'll probably do that later. Let's go through this red box and see what treasures we can discover. Okay, time to dive into here and see what we've got. We've just got some nails. I probably would have been using those when I was building things out of pallets. So I think this did come from my old workshop behind my shop. We have some plumbing fittings. Well, these are more hose fittings, little sprayers, a hose joiner. Yeah, we'll probably keep that with our gardening stuff here. We will use those. Some general hardware. Yeah, I think I was using these containers to sort out lots of stuff. And I obviously sorted it and never went any further. So we have some larger bolts. We have some, these are for the ends of wire cables or wire rope. And they're empty containers. So these are what you get mushrooms and things in from the supermarket. And I used to save a lot of them. I still do save them. They're great little parts trays. They're actually resistant to fuels. So I sometimes wash things up in petrol in these. But they're kind of disposable. They can go in the recycle bin eventually, but they're just handy, especially when you're sorting and need lots of little containers. So I will hang on to those. This is a container you would have got from a hardware store full of roofing nails or screws or something. And they make very good reusable storage. And is that the hinge side? Why won't that? Oh, yeah, opening the wrong side. All right, we have the little drum taps here for your plastic 20-litre water drums and things. There's some black ones. I don't need to keep any of those. Those can just go to the shop. I think they're a few dollars to buy new each. We might just put them in the $1 box, see if anyone wants them. I won't write down any price for those. An ice cream container here with a little paintbrush, handy for washing up parts and things. We have some tap washers. More tap washers, they look like new ones. A little, that's just a little, it's like a wood plane, but I think it's just a separate little shaver. I don't think that's a blade assembly out of a plane. I think that's just meant as a little, or basically a scraper. Might be handy here. Some jigsaw blades and a little box of nails. So not much value in there. And we have another larger container here with lots of stuff in it. All right, I might get the camera a little bit closer and we'll go through this. There's all sorts of stuff in here. I don't think that's been sorted. A head from a trimmer or brush cutter. It takes the flexible cord. I think they call them a line trimmer. They call them a weed whacker, all sorts of things. This one was off a larger straight shaft unit. It's lost one of the eyelets there. I think it's probably off an Echo. I might hang on to that in case we're doing one up. Is it actually branded? It's made in the USA. Possibly an aftermarket one. I'll just keep that in a box with some brush cutter parts here for now. Okay, this is we've got a real random mix in here. This is a little Walkman, a cassette one. Does it open? There we go. Still got a cassette in it. That's just a blank, or maybe it's been recorded. So these things are becoming quite popular and collectible now. What brand is it? Genexa. Never heard of it. All right, let's hope no one's left batteries in it. And, oh, they have, and it's corroded. All right, we better get rid of that battery. That's going into the battery box we just looked at before. There's another one in there. It doesn't look like it's corroded the terminals, but it's swollen up. So I'm glad I found these when I did. It looks like we might have not caused too much damage. Yeah, that looks okay in there. So that will go into my to be repaired box, because I think these are worth getting going. They might have a good market on eBay. I'm not sure if this particular brand is worthwhile. I might check it out, but it appears undamaged. We have a rope starter off an early Honda. So that's probably a 1960s or 70s model. And it appears it works okay. Yeah, the starter pulls come out. The rope doesn't retract properly. But if you ever have an engine where you have one of these rope starters and the rope doesn't retract, sometimes the springs lose their tension and it's gradually pulling in. But a quick trick with these is the pulleys normally have a little notch out section, and if we lever, we'll just hold it there and we'll flick the rope up with a suitable screwdriver. We can feed a bit of the rope through. The rope's a bit stiff. Actually, I might use pliers. It's a fairly heavy starter cord. So if we pull that up through there, it's a little hard to do this holding it up in the air so you guys can see it. And then what we can do, if I don't let go of it, is we can wind the spring up another couple of laps, or even just one lap. There we go, and we'll pull the rope back through. Now, it's still a bit sticky. Yeah, I think the oil on the centre spindle is all gummed up, but it is still retracting. So that's how you retension one of these anyway. So yeah, it needs pulling apart and cleaning the oil up, but it is retracting a little better. I could put another lap or two on it, but I don't think it needs retensioning anymore. Let's just try a bit of spray, maybe just under this washer at the top. It's certainly not the best way to fix one of these. It really needs pulling apart and cleaning up. There you go, that's better already. So now it's retracting nearly all the way. So a quick fix, not really the proper way to do it, but if you're stuck out in the bush and you've got troubles with your rope not pulling back in, you can retension it like I showed you, and a bit of spray just freed that up a bit. Yeah, so we'll hang on to that because that'll be a good one if I'm restoring an old Honda engine. It probably has a market itself for someone that needs one. Not sure what I'd sell it for, but I think I'll keep that for now because I do plan on doing a lot more small engine work once I get my shed organised. Okay, well, we have a real mixed bag. Here's a carburettor. I don't know what it's off. A single barrel carby. It looks like a vintage, maybe 1980s era. Not too sure. I don't know whether I can Google some part numbers and find out what it suits. It could well have a market on eBay. It doesn't look to be damaged. A little rusty on the bottom. But the butterflies, throttle butterflies work fine. That's the accelerator pump. Maybe this is classed as a double barrel carby. So yeah, don't know what it's off. It looks Japanese. I guess it probably is off a Japanese car. We'll check that out and see if we can work out what it's worth. Alright, I will get the camera closer. We'll go through this box and we'll have a look at what's in the rest of this one. Maybe I'll just tip it all out on the bench and we'll go through it. Alright, I've just made a bit of room on the bench. I'll get a couple of the bigger things out of here first. They're electrical terminals. Obviously the packaging's no good, but I have some parts drawers to keep those in. We have some trimmer line, which would have gone in that brush cutter head, trimmer head. They're little wooden plugs to cover the screw heads on timber furniture. And we have a container here just with assorted alligator clips. These ones are handy for holding things when you've glued them, but that's more of a jumper lead type electrical connection. I don't know that these ones are actually meant for electrical connections. I think they're just clamps. A little bit of broken glass in here. I'm not sure what that's come from. All right, and we'll just tip this out now. And that frees up a tub for us we can use for storage on those shelves once we clear them up. Now I'll get the camera closer. Oh, talk about a mixed bag. We've got everything here. What do we got here? Fuel line. I don't know what that's off, an old fuel filter. I'm not going to use a second-hand filter, so I think that's just rubbish. An oil stone for sharpening a knife. That's coarse one side, very fine the other. That feels pretty good. I'll hang on to that one. Another fuel line with a filter in it. So, yep, they're no good. What's this blue thing? Oh, it's a piece of very large heat shrink tubing. I have a container for heat shrink tubing. Sometimes it's nice to have a big large one. That looks, I thought it was a copper pipe, but that looks like a vacuum line. It may have even plugged into that old carby, but I think that's just rubbish. We might salvage the spring clips off it before we throw it out. A very early, could even be cedar, little timber turned piece, maybe off an old dressing table or Duchess or even a sideboard. And there's a few finials here. I do keep these just in case I need one for a piece of furniture. It's probably unlikely I'm ever going to get an exact match, but it's worth hanging on to them, and I could always sell them down the track if I needed to, so I'll keep those timber parts. These ones are much more modern. These are ends of curtain rods, but they would also work as finials on something, just a decorative timber end. They're quite modern, but I'll keep them too, just in case. What have we got here? A little key cam lock. Oh, that's like for a glass or a cupboard, a sliding door, something like that. Might hang on to that. Little envelope here. What's in this? Nothing. Okay, just paper recycling. A warning tag of something. Oh, about the carburetor. Of course, we don't know if it suits the carburetor that we've just got. Holly carby. I don't think it's a Holly. We'll keep that just in case until we find out about it. Okay, that obviously came with a Holly carby. It's quite possible that service and instructions. It's quite possible someone bought a Holly carby and took their original carby off whatever engine they had and put the Holly on. So this might be the old carby, the original manufacturer's carby they took off. I have to try and identify it, but I don't think these bits are going to be any good. I'm pretty sure it's not a Holly. Another little timber piece. Oh, they're the pliers I had before. Here we have a hubcap off a lawnmower. An early Victor one, maybe? I don't recognise that symbol as Victor, but it does look like it says V. Unless it says A. No, not sure. Hang on to that for now. Some retro cupboard hardware. Oh, and these little ones went in timber sliding doors. So you could put your thumb in and move the door. I'll take all that to the shop. I have a couple of containers and things for retro hardware, and people do fossick through and find the piece they want. There's another one, just a drawer handle, very 1960s. A few springs. Well, you know I keep springs and I sell them. That one's probably a bit rusty, but that's a nice spring. And various bits of hardware, bolts, some studs. They may have even come out of the box that the carby was with. In fact, that's probably where all these fuel lines and things come from too. When they replaced the carby, they would have replaced all those. So the bolts I'll keep as in hardware. Another spring. It's like a return spring on a throttle control. Might have even been off the carby. A random steel bracket. This is one of those 19 sort of 30s and 40s Art Deco smokers stands. I've had a couple and I've featured some in previous videos, and I've still got all the parts somewhere because I can make some up. This would have had a spring in it and then a chrome type top with a centerpiece, either chrome surround, then a centerpiece that pushed down on the spring so that when you butted your cigarette and put the butt, it dropped down and then the cup lifted back up and stopped any smoke coming out. It's kind of like an early Bakelite. I'm not sure if it is Bakelite or not, but we could always do the smell test. I did a short on that many years ago. Well, not many years ago, but quite a while ago. Still gets lots of views. And it's just about rubbing it until it's hot and then having a smell. You will recognise Bakelite once you've smelt it. You'll never forget it. So we'll put that with the other Deco smoker stands or parts I've got. That's a braided fuel line. It's probably steel inside. It's got brass fittings. It won't be any good to use. But yes, either the braiding steel, or I think the pipe probably is inside. We might just chop the brass fittings off just for scrap. A gauge, what's this one? Pressure gauge up to 400 kPa. Not sure what that's off. And we have a gauge here, which I can't even read. Let's get a rag. It's a bit oily on the glass. And it's a vacuum gauge. So for checking fuel pump suction, that's still probably quite a good gauge. We might hang on to that one. Not sure if I need that one. Might take it to the shop. I'll just clean the rust off it and put $5 on it. People do buy gauges. They're a bit steampunky, but some people buy them just because they actually want a gauge. Could go on a, probably the wrong range for an air compressor. Most air compressors don't go much over 100. Oh, that's PSI. This is kilopascals. I'm not sure in the comparison. Might suit an air compressor. We'll have to check that out. So that's all we had there. I'll clean up this section. Oh, actually, no, I won't. Well, I will, eventually. We'll go through this box while we're here. So these are tools for like angle grinders and things. I've got a $1 box at the shop for those. I don't need any. There's just a heavy duty wire link. They'll be probably copper terminals and the copper wire inside, so that'll be scrap. Another clamp, we had some of those before. An old file handle, probably not much good. That's a collar for a lamp, and I mentioned recently there's lots of different threads, so I do hang on to those when I'm repairing lamps. That is cast iron, and it looks like the tool for lifting the circular hot plates off a wood stove. Can't see any brands on it. Sometimes they're branded or they have a part number. Probably just the $1 shop spot at the shop. More hardware. A lid off an old can. It says Rawleys. Okay, that's quite an old one. What's in here? Oh, a brand new 4-lever drawer cupboard lock. Well, that will sell. I don't think I need it. And I've got lots of keys for these, unless it comes with keys. It does. It comes with 2 keys. So we should be able to sell that. I've got to get some value out of this lot. We haven't found much to sell yet. That's a tachometer for reading the speed of a rotating shaft. Like, you can stick this on the end of an electric motor, and it's a matter of counting how many laps it does in a certain time. I think there's graduations around there. I'll clean that up. That will probably sell okay. I don't think I need to keep that. A nice old brass padlock, or not padlock, pad bolt. It's a bit seized up. It's totally seized up. So I think it's a bit good just to throw in the scrap. It'd have to go in irony brass. I reckon we can free that up. I don't know if I've got the other end for it, but sometimes they just go into a hole in the door frame. I think we'll clean that up. We should be able to sell that. So there's a bit of cleaning to do out of this lot. That looks like a little tray out of a soldering iron stand. Just for holding a little bit of mesh or something for cleaning the soldering iron. Not sure what it's made out of. It's probably aluminium. It's very light. More electrical clips, more hardware, much older hardware. That's off a very early door lock. I do have some old locks put aside, so that can go with those. Wow, we've got all sorts of hardware here. An old cupboard one. Some more alligator clips. Some latches. Some drawer pulls, more old hardware off door locks. Some of these, whatever you call them, for hammering into a brick wall to putting a screw in. Another door lock, good, we'll sell that. Some tacks. I think that'd be tacks in here. It says it's tacks. Yep, blued tacks. I'll probably just make up a box lot of that sort of stuff and sell it for $5 a lot. Pretty hard to sell those. Not so many people seem to use tacks for anything these days. More retro hardware. That looks like the top of a little fire poker or something. A decorative finial. It's die cast. Some second-hand cupboard locks. Yeah, mostly hardware. That's a window latch. Some dyno bolts. A fuse holder. Cupboard door latches from sort of a 1950s era kitchen dresser. Little swing over latches for boxes, toolboxes and things, more tacks. Not sure what these little clamps are for. I think they're just steel. More tacks at the bottom. Some of the little things have broken. Another window. All right. That's an older window latch. I think I just need to sort all this out. There's really not much value in here. I'll sort it out into some groups of hardware. I might do some like $5 lots. And then we'll clean up those few other things I spotted. And we'll hopefully get a little bit of value. But yeah, not much to sell really. You know, I say it all the time that we haven't got much value. And it forever surprises me. And I know it surprises some of you guys. I've ended up with, in my list, $120. Now, some things I said I was going to keep, I've decided to sell. I think I could probably get $10 for the sharpening stone. I've gone $10 each on the new cupboard locks. The Starrett, it is an LS Starrett speed indicator rather than a tacho, but it does pretty well what I described. And that's in pretty good nick. There's a few of them on eBay, but LS Starrett, if you can read it, I'm not sure you'll be able to get a focus here. You might be able to. Pretty good US brand, and that appears to be in good working order. It would have had a proper rubber tip on the end. Someone's put one of those wall plugs in there. It still would work fine. So I've gone for 20 on that. What else? I said I was going to sell this gauge, but I think I'll keep that one. So they've sort of swapped back and forward from what I said before. We don't have a lot of stuff to sell, but it's adding up pretty well, and that's mainly because of that carby. So I did a bit of checking on it. It's off a Toyota. I don't exactly know what model. I didn't go into that much detail. But it is a... I couldn't find a brand for a while, but it's hidden under this little wiring loom. And it's an Aisan, A-I-S-A-N. So it's Japanese, and yes, it's off a Toyota of some description. There's a few of them on eBay, and a few sellers were saying, you know... vintage carby off Toyota, don't know what model, and they were getting pretty reasonable money. You know, they weren't going berserk, but I reckon I think I can get at least 50 back. So that's what we're going to try with that. That one will appear on our eBay series, and we'll see how we go there, but I'm estimating I'll get 50. Who knows? If a couple of people really want it, we might get a lot more. So that really boosts up the bottom line, of course. The brass pad bolt here, I just gave a bit of a clean up. I didn't polish it, but I just cleaned it up on the wire wheel, freed it up. It works really well. So I think we'll get 10 for that, because it's a good size, and it's very solid. It would work well. What else have we got? Oh, the stove tool. I thought we should be able to get 5 for that, and I did a quick check on eBay, and sure enough, they sell. One guy had, I think, 3 on there, and they made $30. So we'll just go 5 on that. And I didn't include all the sundry stuff. This is all basically going in the $1 a pick section at the shop. I do have boxes for retro hardware and boxes for other bits and pieces. So there's a lot of items there. If we get $1 each for half of it, there's probably another $15 odd. But I'm not writing that down. We can also include those angle grinder tools. And I wrote down $5 for this lock. I was going to keep that, but I don't need it. So as you can see, I've swapped things back and forward a bit. I am keeping quite a lot of stuff, but not really keeping. I mean, the hardware will go into jars. And for those of you that don't follow my channel, I do have a lot of jars that I constantly fill up with various hardware. I sort things into, not completely sorted, but just springs and clips and nuts and bolts and just, various stuff. And as the jars fill up, I take them to the shop and sell them. Usually get $5 a jar, depending on what they are. The springs sell very well. I even keep random bushes. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Rubber grommets, brass hardware, even these old staples, light globes. So yeah, as I sort stuff, I fill up jars and I take them to the shop. That one down there is all stainless steel hardware. So I do separate them with a magnet because I can get better money for it. Rather than just normal hardware. So that's what I do with all that stuff. So when you hear me say, I've got a jar for that, now you'll understand. So back to the bench, and that means I'm not necessarily keeping all this stuff. I'm just allocating it to jars until I can sell it. The old hardware I will keep because I have some plans for that. The gardening stuff and the trimmer line I will use. Oh, I didn't write down this. I thought I'd take these tacks and the nails and just put $5 on the whole lot. So I forgot to write that down, keeping the timber bits. I'll keep that as I said before, I'll keep that Honda recoil assembly because I'm more likely to use it than anyone else, given that I've got a few old engines around and I want to get back into fixing them up. So there we go. Quite a bit of stuff to go to the shop. A fair bit of stuff to kind of be absorbed into the shed here that will go to the shop eventually, and some things that I will use. The little Walkman thing here I didn't mention. I checked them out online. I did find some of this brand, but they didn't sell for very much, only $20 or $30. I think I'm better hanging on to this. I think I'll put it in my repair box, one of many, and we'll fix it up. It probably needs new belts. It certainly does need a bit of a clean out where the batteries were, but it should be fixable. And these things are only going to increase in value, I think, because as people get older and these get pushed back further into the depths of history, people remember things from their childhood and it has an emotional attachment, and that's why people start collecting a lot of times. But Walkmans do get good money now, just this brand didn't seem to be very sought after, but I'll fix that up one day. We might do a video on it. And there we go. So a lot of stuff didn't get written down, but the stuff we are going to sell, maybe about $120. So I'll leave this laser level kit carry over till next week. We'll give it a test and see if it works. And as I said, I think I'll probably hang on to that, but we'll check that out next week. And we're going to go back to the previous week in our notepad where we only had that school drill. It's at the shop. It's had 1 week in the shop. It hasn't sold as yet, so I'll let you know how that goes. The previous week, the stuff didn't get put in the shop for a while. It ended up sitting in the van. We have sold the tin snips though. Going back to episode 103, we've sold the fuse holders. The TV went straight away, if you remember. And the week before, we've sold 3 of those timber handles. The little tub of insulators sold, and that 12-volt horn that we had to muck around to get working. I got my $30 for that, which is good. So things are starting to move. I won't go back any further, but lots of it does sell. Some of it takes a while. Depends how much I like the things sometimes. I occasionally price things up a bit higher if I like them. And a good example of that was a milk separator or cream separator I cleaned up quite a lot of episodes back. I don't remember which one it was. And I think I priced it at $125 on my list. It looks so good in the shop. I think I put it up to $175, and it's now sold. It took a while, but it looked great. I ended up doing it for about $160. So we did better than what we estimated in the notepad. And that's a really good example because I like the shop to be interesting, and nice, cool things like that on display look great. So why discount them? So anyway, that finishes another episode. I did look up the total, and what were we at? 16,000 and something. I put it at the start of the video. We've now added another, what did we get to? $120 onto that. So more space, more money, and more content for you guys. Thanks for coming along again. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.